Ladies and gentlemen, your boy Francis Lee. I have a very special guest, very special interview for you guys, right? For NYY News. And it's your guy. You know him, you love him. You've probably interacted with him at one point or another on Twitter. It's the one, the only, Justin Argiro, aka L.I. Yankee King. Welcome to the channel. Talk to us. How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing good, doing good.
Doing good as you can be with this bad start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
frustrated
Listen,
with these.
Listen, man. I'm excited. I'm excited that we're doing this on Zoom, face to face. People can see us. People can see you. I've had people tell me that they thought you were like 15 years old. That's why I asked you that one time in a tweet thread, like, how old are you? Turns out you're 22. Now you guys can see this is a grown adult here, not a child. So a little more
Yeah,
respect. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and pretty much I only follow one part of the Yankees facial hair policy is
But
uh
you got the flow in the back. You got
yeah,
the
got
flow
the
in the
flow.
back.
Except it's all wet 'cause I just got out of the shower.
Dope, dope. All right. Let me so just to preface this, I know you guys, a lot of you guys who are watching this are going to know exactly who Justin is, right? A lot of you have interacted with him, right? I wanted to do this because I think it's important that us on Yankees Twitter uh we start coming together and unifying. We don't always have to agree, right? Me and Justin have disagreed a lot, which happens
Yeah,
all the time. But I'll still tweet with Justin every day and interact with him. If he responds to one of my I'm going to interact with him because he's a different thinker. He thinks outside the box, and whether I agree with an idea or not is secondary. I really just like to hear different ideas, right? What do you
Yankees
feel about
need
that?
different ideas.
We need different. Okay.
Freaking suck right now.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see, listen, I can definitely see the need for outside the box thinking. And like I said, it doesn't matter whether we agree, disagree, but these conversations are good to have. And I'm glad that we have you on our platform and you can speak to the people and let them know like where some of this stuff comes from. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in. I have 4 questions that I think you guys, the fans of our channel, are going to enjoy, especially if you've interacted with Justin before, because you've probably heard him speaking about these topics before. So this is not going to be anything foreign. All right.
No.
So number one, focusing solely on leadership. Who has the majority of the blame for the New York Yankees 5-10 start? This is the 5th worst start in franchise history. All right. Which of the leaders is the most to blame? Either Hal Steinbrenner, Brian Cashman, or Aaron Boone, and why? The floor is yours, Justin.
Brian Cashman.
Okay.
Everybody says cash God. In cash we trust, that little hashtag that's dead. I'm going to use a professional wrestling term. Your Cashman marks are going to learn a few things. Without Stick Michael, without George Steinbrenner holding his ass, that's kind of a fraud. He went from Cash God to that Cashman's 5 World Series rings that were Stick Michael's, not his. He made this team 5th worst. Oh, wait, no. Oh, that was 2020. No, that was 2020 that we were the 5th worst. Francis, you want to know where we are in defense right now?
Tell me.
We are the worst defense in baseball, which is, if you see us play, we got a second baseman trying to be a shortstop, which I told you so. Rugnet Odor, who's terrible defensively, great right hook, might have a future in professional wrestling, might have to see more moves. DJ, who's declined a little bit defensively at second base, is now playing first base.
Okay. I will challenge you on the DJ thing. I showed you the numbers the other day. Out of 50 chances, he's only missed one. So I don't know about declining just yet, but that's not on the docket. So we'll go over that. I will say, I give you Cashman. This is Cashman's team, right? For better or for worse, no one can say that this is not Cashman's team. This team as currently constructed is his team. So I will give you that. I like to start at the top in terms of blame. So I always go Hal just for empowering Cashman. And I feel like once you got rid of a manager like Girardi and moved in the direction of an Aaron Boone type guy, you took away the power from the actual manager on the field and put it into Cashman's hand. and hands. And now we just have to see like, okay, it's on you, man. Like what's gonna happen because this is on you. And I think I blame Hal for even having that much trust in Cashman to run literally all the operations of the most valuable franchise in all of baseball. But I mean, it is what it is at this point, right?
Yep. And I don't
If in the middle of the
he gave,
year, even if Cashman was to get fired, what would that do?
nope. And he gave Cash orders, stay on the luxury tax.
Mhm.
Create a championship team, stand on the luxury tax. I was okay with it. It's like, all right, Hal gave you the motive. Go. And he fucked up.
Yeah. Well, I think also 15 games in is still a little early, but there are things that are worrisome to say the least. To say the least, there are things that are worrisome.
Yeah.
But to say like, all right, Hal gave him the directive and he made the moves based on that, and it was a failure. We don't know yet. If it was September and we still look like this, then I'm with you 100%. This was a cold, hard failure. But in April, I'm not ready to say that. But let's go. Let's move on. Question number 2, right? This is a good one. Out of all the struggling hitters, and there are a lot in this lineup, who do you think is going to figure it out first? Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Gleyber Torres, Aaron Hicks, or Clint Frazier, who's the last two of which have actually gotten the night off for today's game. Who do you think is going to figure it out first?
Gleyber Torres.
Gleyber Torres. Okay. Why do you choose Gleyber?
I feel like with his offensive mentality, and if we actually get a true shortstop and move him to second, DJ to first, and keep those two on there, and you move him back to second, all those mental like games he's playing with, like, okay, I have to be better than Didi, but just under Jeter defensively at shortstop to be even passable with this fan base. If you move him back to second, boom, he's good. But I feel like he's the most talented offensive player on this team. Yes, you got DJ, but I'm going out and I'm keeping it. Gleyber Torres, the best offensive player on this team.
Okay. You brought up a very interesting point, right? And see, this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because I see sometimes the back and forth. I see people, they write you off and they're like, oh man, that guy's crazy. He always says like, a bunch of like outlandish like trade deals and stuff like that. But you've made a very interesting point, and I don't know if I've thought about this in the past. You really believe that Didi Gregorius, the shadow of Didi Gregorius, who only played like a certain amount of years or whatever, plays a part in Gleyber Torres's mental struggles? Because that's a very interesting thought.
Yes.
I can actually see that.
Didi is a natural shortstop. Yes, Gleyber Torres, the tagline for his draft, shortstop. He had 72 errors at shortstop. Whether those be throwing, whether those be fielding, those are still terrible numbers. I'll be okay if he looks at least passable at shortstop. He makes Chase Headley look like his Gold Glove wasn't a fluke. And I hate Chase Headley. No offense, Chase, if you but to quote Joe's McFly and Pinstripe Pratt, you trash, son.
That's my guy. I watch them too. All right. So we got Gleyber. Who out of that group, right? So let's take Gleyber out of that because he's gonna figure it out, and you choose him to figure it out first. So out of the ones remaining, you got Judge, you got Stanton, you got Hicks, and you got Clint Frazier. Out of those guys, who worries you the most?
Frazier. For obvious reasons, as we've seen today. As we've seen at whatever time the lineup was announced, because I was probably at work.
Mm-hmm.
Because Clint Frazier, every time he plays good, it's like, we're going to mention for Brett Gardner. We're going to mention for Mike Tauchman. It's like, yo, literally told me I was the starting left fielder. What is this? Why am I sitting?
Yeah.
I am your guy. You are building around me, Judge, Torres. I'm sitting on the bench for a dude who has half the arm that I do. Okay, that makes sense.
I can't disagree. I can't disagree. I think the playing time has been the major issue with Clint to start out the year. I know he started slow, but I am of the belief that he would have figured it out much like the way Gio did. If you remember when Gio started the season, the first few games, Gio looked pretty lost.
Yeah, Gio looked. Eesh.
Yeah, he looked pretty lost. But because he was playing with regularity and he never got out of the lineup, he eventually figured it out.
Yeah.
Right? Gio missed that one game because of the vaccine stuff. But I mean, he was in the lineup, right? He came back from that game, hit a big freaking
Yeah. But
450.
y'all that are saying Gio is soft for that vaccine will fuck you up. I ain't gonna lie. I seen how my mother was when she took it.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, yeah, that's I mean, those people are just nuts. Like you can't fault a guy for being out of the
Yeah.
lineup because of that. Like, I mean, but yeah, I feel like Frazier might have had the same reprieve if he was in the lineup all the time. The fact that he gets sit after having 3 bad games, 4 bad, it's like, and then Gardner's taking all these at bats from him. It can't help him physically and mentally also. Like that kind of plays in your head. Like when he is in the game, he's like, I got to be lights out, man. Like I got to be phenomenal, or else tomorrow I'm riding the pine.
It's like I gotta be Barry Bonds.
Yeah, pretty much.
Who should be a Hall of Famer, but we'll skip that.
Interesting. I don't disagree with you there. I do believe Barry Bonds is a Hall of Famer. We could that's a conversation. That's a conversation for another time. We'll have to do this again. Let me move on to question number 3. This week you tweeted about how you would personally restructure the management team of the New York Yankees if you was running the team, right? Which is really interesting because you're always saying that you could run this team better than Hal, than Brian, than Boone, all of them. So you actually kind of put your money where your mouth is, if you will, and tweeted out like a list of all the changes that you would make, right? What results would you expect from the changes that you listed, right? Removing the hitting coach, the manager, things like what immediate changes do you think would be seen?
Obviously, I want better defense. I want the offense to not look like a little league team, a little league pitcher throwing 75 could strike them out every 2 seconds. I want them to look competent. I want them to look like the Yankees. I feel they need a little bit of old school mentality because I feel like with the new school mentality and Marcus Thames, you're going to see everybody strike out a lot. And with this team, because it's so right-handed dominant, and a pitcher like Shane Bieber, who freaking scares me going into my hometown of Cleveland, or not hometown, but home state of Ohio, and going into Cleveland terrifies me with this lineup because he can throw 13 Ks in the stone. With this offense, he's throwing 20. He's throwing 20. Because this offense is dead. We need a new hitting coach desperately. What's the approach?
What? I think in the offseason, the approach and the focus was this team is striking out too much and mainly striking out on breaking balls and, slower pitching. So I think they shifted the focus from being on the fastball to kind of being on breaking pitches. The problem is they're not hitting breaking balls, and they're seeing the least fastballs that they've seen as a lineup. So they're just not hitting, right? And
Nope.
the guys that are most of the guys are still swinging at 0-2, 1-2 sliders 2 feet off of the plate. So it didn't really change. Whatever they did in the offseason, like to work on that, didn't really work. Like I saw Judge strike out, Stanton strike out the other day, like in the third game against the Rays, on pitches that I'm like, isn't this what you were working on? And you're still striking on the same thing.
Yeah.
One thing I will say though, Gary Sanchez actually has looked better in terms of pitch recognition. Can you give him that?
Yeah. Gary Sanchez has proven me wrong. I said in the offseason, and Nate, I'm going to go look back. I said it. Gary Sanchez is not a catcher. He's proven me wrong. Love it, Gary. Keep it going, boy. Keep it going.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to my fourth and final question. You've proposed many trades on Twitter. This is probably This is
Here we go.
probably your fame. This is your fame of Twitter, right? And Yankees Twitter. Those who know who Li Yankee King is, you know
Yep.
him for the trade proposals. And you'd love for the Yankees to execute these many trades, right? But if you had to choose the one trade, right, that you've come up with on your own, the one trade that would have the biggest impact on this team, what would it be?
I know I'm going to get slack for this, but I don't care. I would do Jason Dominguez for Steven Strasburg. Give me Strasburg. Give me that second ace. I don't care what Dominguez becomes. Good. Have fun with Juan Soto, Victor Robles, Luis Garcia, Trey Turner. Go have fun with Keyboom. Go have fun with Joe Ross or John Ross. I forgot his first name. Go have fun with them in Washington. Well, we get dominance in the Bronx because I want that back. Because when we won in 2009, we spent it on starting pitching. Now our offense didn't look like shit, but that's a different story. Strasburg and Cole in a 1-2 get in a game series or a 5-game series to a 7-game series would be dominance.
I have two responses, I guess, right? I'm gonna poke holes in that trade, and the only reason I will is because one, Max Scherzer is a free agent at the end of the year. Max Scherzer is not Strasburg. Max Scherzer is because he's also 36 years old or 34, one of those. Being that he's a free agent at year's end, and the Nats don't look all that good, it's possible and plausible that he could be available via the trade market come the deadline this year. What do you say to those who say, why go and trade Dominguez for Strasburg when you could get probably Max Scherzer for a lot less?
Fuck it. If you could, why not get both?
Both. That's a little fantasy drafty right there.
We have Giancarlo. Hell, if you could, maybe get a team to take Giancarlo's contract.
It's a lot easier. That's a lot easier said than done, my friend. Giancarlo doesn't have an Aaron Hicks type deal, so people aren't going to want to be paying, $27 million a year for a bona fide DH.
Goes boop, 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 boom.
And
that flies up.
And the thing is that even with Giancarlo, to even start to talk about a trade, you got to cut 15 teams out right off the bat because he's a DH. The Yankees are afraid to play him in left field because they're afraid he's going to get hurt at just 41 years of age.
For him. Maybe try him out at first base. See how he looks when we traded for him 3 years ago. 4 years ago.
Whatever. I don't know about the first base. The first base is a harder position than a lot of people think it is, But I digress. Let me ask my second hole on the Dominguez for Strasburg trade straight up. And again, I applaud you for thinking outside the box because I'm going to tell you right now, you could ask me 100 different trades right now. Francis Lee, give me 100 different trades that you think would impact the Yankees positively right off the bat. And I never say Dominguez for Strasburg. So again, I applaud you for thinking outside the box for sure. But my second caveat about that would be what happens when they do that deal, right? Strasburg comes to the Bronx and gets hurt. Like, because Strasburg does have an extensive injury history, right? And the Yankees seem to be all but cursed in that department. So do you think it would be prudent to trade the what if and the hope that is Jason Dominguez for somebody who could potentially get injured and then we end up back in the same place that we were, except we don't have Dominguez either?
Yes, I get that. But there's a solution. You could try a 6-man rotation. Because look at what a 6-man rotation did to Tanaka and his shoulder. His shoulder was hanging on by a thread, hanging on by a mere tiny thread. 6-man rotation, he was a second ace. And then Sevy came up and became a beast. And pretty much you had a 1-2 punch. Yes, he had injuries, but a 6-man rotation helps. Hence why I said it in the offseason.
But do you think that the New York Yankees are the kind of team who should be employing a 6-man rotation? because there's a lot of fans who say with the money that the New York Yankees spend year in and year out, why are we doing things like having openers start game 2 of a playoff
I
series?
hate
Why are we
that.
doing things like, oh, we need to add a 6th person to rotate? Like, shouldn't we have the financial wherewithal to field a team that has 5 decent starters? Like, don't get me wrong. I know we're not gonna have 5 Garrett Coles. It's gonna be Garrett Cole. It's gonna be a Deuce, and then give me 3 decent guys.
Yes, give me that. But a 6-man rotation will keep your bullets healthy. Will keep those bullets from Cole, your second ace, your third, your fourth, your fifth, your sixth guy healthy. Have them healthy to keep them healthy for the postseason. And you have it. Hey, you have a Devi Garcia sitting there in the minors. Someone gets injured. Boom. You just move a guy up. You just move him into that spot. Boom. And you keep them healthy. Yes, Yankees, there's this thing called healthy.
Listen, that's all the time that we have for today. I want to thank you for jumping on Zoom with me. We've been trying to figure this out. Scheduling was rough or whatever, both busy, but we finally got it done. So I want to thank you for that. And hey, man, listen, in the future, right? I'm definitely open to jumping on another Zoom with you, coming up with some more questions and creating some more content for people, because whether they love you or they hate you, Justin, they're watching for whatever reason. People are responding to the stuff you're saying. So you know what I mean? It's
Maybe
no publicity is bad publicity. I'm sorry, I cut you off. What'd you say?
Maybe I should make a tagline for myself.
You should. Listen, man, market what you're doing, man, because like I said, they don't have to love you. Hate is just as powerful as love is. It's just as powerful. I don't think anybody hates you though. Don't get me wrong. I don't think anybody hates you. I think on Twitter they write you off because they think that the trades are like a little bit cockamanian out there. And again, like I said, we've disagreed hella times, but I'll always be open to the conversation because I like hearing different perspectives. And I appreciate that you're open to different perspectives too. So again, I want to thank you for your time. Any last words you want to give to people?
Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Francis, RB, Pete, they doing good work.
Appreciate that.
Subscribe too.
Appreciate that, Justin.
Put it together.
I appreciate that, Justin. Listen, you guys, again, you know him, you love him. It's your boy, L.I. Yankee King, right? Mr. Trade Proposal himself. And your boy, of course, Francis Lee for NYY News. Thanks. Peace out.